Often cloak ourselves as Nebraska nice, but in tonight's special report, What's Driving You Crazy, we question, is that just a myth when people are behind the wheel?
Last year, there were nearly 140,000 driving convictions, according to state records. More than 13,000 convictions were for speeding 15 to 35 miles per hour or more over the speed limit, an average of nearly 40 drivers a day. Reporter Megan Stewart on the people trying to change that trend.
It's a crazy world out here when it comes to driving.
Omaha, we have a problem. It's causing people to vent on Facebook, tweet up a storm.
There's even an entire YouTube channel with 40 videos dedicated to showing this. Bad Drivers of Omaha.
These swerving, speeding, reckless behaviors are not only dangerous.
It's aggressive driving.
Papillion Police Chief Scott Lyons says drivers are not so Nebraska nice when behind the wheel.
And you couple that with distracted driving, talking on cell phones, looking in mirrors, trying to read text messages. It makes for a very dangerous situation.
It's something he's noticed as both a police officer and a dad.
I'm trying to teach my children how to drive, and I have drivers running around them, trying to pass them because they're impatient because someone's going the speed limit.
That's clearly a violation of state law.
Pat Vendetti runs Cornhusker Driving School. In his decades of driving instructor experience, he's seen the aggressiveness of drivers in Nebraska increase.
You know, driving for a lot of people today is a very stressful experience. Now here, for example, it's 25 miles an hour. There's not a single one of these people that are traveling 25 miles an hour here. A complete disrespect for the speed limit sign.
Well, if we look at the convictions for last year, clearly there's a high number of people who aren't paying attention to the laws.
Rose White, the public affairs director of AAA, says the problem is in part because there are more bad drivers like this on the road.
It's a growing issue. Now, part of that is due to the growing number of licensed drivers we have in Nebraska.
Wow.
But how can we change the mindset of drivers? For Chief Lyons, that answer has two parts.
We created the program, Drive Like a Neighbor, because we don't feel like people are driving like neighbors right now.
Part one, change the way you police. Papillion is doing this by adding more patrols during the problem times.
And it's around rush hour where people are trying to rush to and from work. They're pushing the red light, they're rolling through stop signs, and they're speeding and they're weaving in and out of traffic.
Part two would be change the laws, making distracted driving a primary offense so officers could pull those drivers over before they cause a crash. Right now, they can't. Is that frustrating for law enforcement?
It is frustrating for law enforcement because we're out here trying to make a difference and make a daily impact in the community and make it safer.
But Chief Lyons says changing the law isn't up to him.
We try to tell legislatures what kind of things could make a difference, but that is one of the things that I find needs to be at the top of the list.
They chose not to do it. I think that was a big mistake.
Would you call it a deadly mistake?
It's a deadly mistake, no question about that. No question about that.
Vendetti echoes Chief Lyons' frustration with state lawmakers' inability to pass a distracted driving bill.
Should we have a course on teaching the kids how to use the cell phone when driving? Texting is certainly out of the question. But I often wonder, is that a place in the educational realm? You know, I can't see it right now, but stranger things have happened.
Megan Stewart reporting. Right now, texting and driving is only a secondary offense in Nebraska, meaning a police officer must pull you over for another, more serious violation initially. Efforts to make it a primary offense is stuck in committee at the Nebraska legislature.